Good afternoon, and welcome back to another episode of A Contagious Smile, where every smile tells a story. Excuse me, I'm so excited to have Mark with us today. Mark has one of those inspirational from the ground up stories, and everybody knows that I advocate for men just like women because we all have an amazing growth and healing journey. And I want to thank Mark so much for being here with us today. Thank you.
Victoria, the pleasure is all mine, and I'm so excited to be here. Your life and your journey is an inspiration, and I'm just happy to be here and share whatever I can.
Oh, thank you. On April 25th, so not even a month ago, you published your new book, Curious Avatar. I love the title. It's so catchy. Can you tell us about it?
Absolutely. It's a book that took me, I'm 62, so it took me
No,
my
you're
entire
not.
life to, yes, I am. Yeah,
You guys
yeah.
have to see. I'm gonna make sure I get a picture of him up. He's not 62.
Oh, bless your heart. Anyway, it's taken me a lifetime to write this book, and it took me a long time to get to a place where I could write it. But basically, Curious Avatar is kind of it takes it's not a memoir, even though it has some memoiral type aspects to it.
Yeah.
But I had a rough childhood, like a lot of folks, poverty, homelessness, domestic abuse, violence. Uh, it's it. I emerged from my childhood an angry, broken, depressed, psychologically just handicapped person. And it's I went about a journey of trying to kind of reclaim my life and overcome all these obstacles that I encountered when I was young, learn how to be a better person, learn how to integrate all these things that happened to me in a way that made sense to me, in a way that could promote my life and serve as a positive force going forward. So, Curious Avatar is the ideology that I developed to get me from point A, which was a broken person, to where I became, where I am now, and that is, just a whole person psychologically, happy, positive relationships in my life, abundance, material abundance, social abundance, just physical abundance. So my calling is my wife and I had a marketing agency for 30 years. We sold it back in 2019. So my calling is to just kind of launch my new career, I guess, and going forward, and promote uh, helping people at, overcome obstacles in their life. So anything I can do to help that, I'm willing to do.
Good for you. Good for you. So let's go back and see how it all started. So tell me about your childhood. You came from a not so great, I don't like the word home because a home is a loving environment. So not so great house.
Yeah, you know what? It's like, when I hear your story, I think everybody has a story. Everybody has
Absolutely.
certain things that they have to deal with in their life. And mine was abandonment. My father, and my mother and father divorced when I was very, very young. Went through, my mother had emotional mental health issues, and just has a stepfather that was very abusive, physically, mentally abusive. We ended up just basically, he went to work one day and it was so bad, we just basically escaped. So,
He was abusive
uh,
to you as well as your mom?
yeah, 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 for
So
me as
sorry.
well. And we just basically escaped, and we spent a few years kind of wandering the desert. We took advantage of charities from churches and friends, and just on welfare, and just it was a struggle. It was a very, very big struggle, and all of that is just kind of developed in me a very broken personality.
course.
And I was not, I emerged from basically my childhood as angry, self-destructive, suicidal, just acting out in many counterproductive ways. And I got to the point where I basically had to decide, well, either this life in this living life in this way is not worth it really for me. So either I find a solution or, like a lot of folks, it's just not worth it. And, you choose suicide or, some kind of self-destructive behavior that's going to lead to death. So
Right.
I basically took all my ideologies. I was raised during that time in a very kind of a fundamentalist Christian environment, and a lot of that baggage was with me as well. So I kind of got to the point where I don't believe any of this stuff. It's not working for me. Everybody I see around me is struggling and not fulfilled, and just in this endless cycle of poverty and angst, and I just need to escape it. I need to figure out what the secret is. I would look out and I would see folks who were thriving. I would see folks who could manifest material abundance. I would see people who seemed happy, who were in positive relationships. And I had no idea how they got there,
Right.
because everybody in my world was the exact opposite. So I went about trying to discover, how do I get there? And either that or, just really wasn't going to be worth it to me.
Right.
So slowly, step by painful step, I just started reading. I started opening myself up to all kinds of mysticism, and no matter how crazy it seemed, I just took it all in. I really looked to science at first to provide answers, but over time, I determined that, well, science can answer a lot of things, but at some point it becomes a religion in and of itself. So I just kind of created this overarching narrative that combines mysticism, religion, aspects of Eastern religion, Western religion, and science, baked it all into this ideology that allowed me to identify the workings of reality, how God force, I call it source energy, comes into our life, how we can control it, how we can use that force energy to manifest our reality on a daily basis. And slowly but surely, I learned how to do that. And as a result, my life turned completely around. It's a 180 from what it was. I Psychological healing happened, physical healing happened. I was able to manifest material abundance just beyond my wildest imagination. And I just, I'm not saying that I have all the answers. I'm not even saying I have the answer for anybody else, but
Right.
I have the answer that works for me. And so the book, if you can take any little bit from it that works for you, then use it. Otherwise, discard it. And that's kind of my philosophy.
Mark, you have such an amazing comeback story. And the teens that I get the privilege to work with, you would be amazing to mentor and talk to them because we have a great relationship, and all of them that come in, we build a relationship. But I know that they want a male person to talk to as well, especially the teenage boys, men, young men that I get to
Right.
talk with because I'm still a girl, and I know they have that male thing going on that they'd want to talk with a guy, but what a turnaround story. And I tell the teens all the time, I really do not want you to have to spend your adulthood healing from your childhood. Like that's awful. I did it, you're doing it. It's awful. And that's not something you want for anyone because you're trapped within your own hell, literally, is how you
That's
feel.
right. That's
You
right.
you feel as if you're suffocating on your own air. And
Yeah,
it's awful.
it is awful. It's horrible. And when I look back at what I had to go through to get to here, it's like, oh my God, I would not choose it. But one thing, the kind of the cornerstone of what I discovered, Victoria, is that all of that, every bit of it, all of the trials, the tribulations, the violence, the everything that has happened to me in my childhood that made me who I was as a young adult, it happened for a reason. And as soon, really, the cornerstone of my turnaround was when I realized that I, all of this is in my life because there are embedded lessons within each and every challenge that I faced and obstacle that I faced. And as soon as I realized that all of that is there for my benefit, it released me to find what that lesson was, and to discover for myself, okay, well, take total responsibility for everything that's happened in my life. That may sound controversial, because you look back and go, well, I didn't deserve that, or this child doesn't deserve this past, or I don't deserve what happened to me. But in my belief system now, I believe in radical responsibility. In other words, I take full responsibility for absolutely everything, because without that, it doesn't give me power to overcome it.
Right.
So if I'm responsible for everything, I have the power to overcome everything. And as soon as I figured that out, I could start moving forward. It wasn't like it wasn't some uncontrollable force that was dictating my life. It
Hmm.
was me,
Right.
and I could take control of it. I could harness, I harnessed all of these conflicts in my life to come in for a reason, because there's embedded lessons that I needed to learn. So I needed to dive into that, learn the lesson, so that I could come out, convert that energy, that negative, low frequency energy, into a higher frequency energy that I can use to be productive in my life. And as soon as I did that, my life transformed. It wasn't instantaneous. It was a slow,
Right.
methodical, painful step-by-step process.
Hmm.
But the concept serves me to this day. And I think that for me, uh, that lesson was invaluable. And for young people, when I talk to young people, and I try to convey that information, at first everybody, at first the reaction is like, I'm not responsible for this. This was imposed on my life. This created this hellhole that I'm in. But when you stop and take another view of it as something that is basically placed in your life for a reason, then it gives you power to overcome it. So that's the basic process that I went through to get to where I am now.
Mark, when you ended up where you are now, before you had kids, were you scared about how you would be as a father, being that the two male role models that showed you what a father's supposed to be like were not who you wanted to be? Were you afraid that that might come back into play as you became your own parent to your own kids?
Oh, absolutely. And I was not only afraid of it, in my younger days, I was still working through this process, and I had young children, and I could see the patterns resurfacing, and it scared the shit out of me, to be honest with you.
So what did you
It
do if you felt
well,
that?
it well, I think the cornerstone of recovering anything in your life is awareness.
Hmm.
So as soon as you become aware of these patterns of behavior, then you can deal with them. So the anger that I felt, most people go through life, they don't understand why they're doing what they're doing.
Right.
They don't have a context for it. All they know is they feel angry. All they know is they lashed out. All they know is they behaved in some abhorrent way. They really, it's not, they're not trying to do it. They're not, it's just coming out of them.
Right.
So, and it's based on these psychological patterns of behavior that we've ingrained in our brain. And in my philosophy, there's humanity is a dichotomy. We have two brains. We have our biological brain that evolved through the eons, through millions and millions and millions of years. And it's packed and it's wonderful and it does great problem solving, but it's also packed with a bunch of instinctual stuff, patterns of behavior. It absorbs patterns of behavior. All it knows is what it's learned.
Right.
And then I believe we have a spiritual mind. I believe our true self lives in the realm of spirit, and that spiritual mind, if we can train our biological brains to accept the spiritual mind, then it merges the two. But until we do that, there's just always this conflict. And most people live in this biological brain and they don't even understand why they do what they do. Um, one of the foundations of my philosophy is that because of that, because we can't really, most of us go through life really not understanding why we're doing what we're doing because it's just reactive or habitual.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Once you start developing the habit of awareness, so when you do something that you don't like, that's negative, just be aware of it, meditate on it, and then bring it to conscious awareness so that next time you feel those feelings, you can then analyze it and then try to overcome that habitual pattern of behavior. So you do this over and over until your brain finally learns that there's a better way. You can channel your spiritual mind, which is higher frequency energy, and you don't have to rely on the patterns of behavior that are so negative in your life. So that's part of the therapy that I went through myself, and it's made all the difference.
Congratulations on breaking the cycle. It's not an easy task, but it really
Oh,
is.
it's really hard,
It
and
is.
and listen, I'd like to stand here and say that I've learned all the lessons, but I haven't. It's a lifelong process. But if you can develop negative patterns of behavior, habits, you can also develop positive patterns of behavior and habits. And so anytime that I feel my mind taking over, my biological mind taking over, and these patterns of behavior start emerging, I've developed a process where I try to sink really deep into those negative aspects of myself. And this is another really unpleasant thing to do, but the fear, anger, whether it's jealousy, whether it's envy, whether, all the negative, low energy emotional states, there's always something there. There's a lesson that you need to learn in order to overcome that. So I dwell on that. I did dive deep into that. I feel the negative emotion to every possible extent I can. And then I try to dig back to see, okay, what's the root of this? Is the root abuse from my stepfather? The fear that it caused, the anger, the fact that I feel like I'm not in control. There's all kinds of underlying issues.
Right.
And then I go a level deeper. Okay, well that's it. So how about the perpetrator? What was he going through? Why was he acting the way he was acting? What was his childhood like? What was, so you try to bring humanity to the process, And slowly that all that negative energy starts alchemizing into a higher frequency energy, because you become empathetic now. Okay, now I see him as a human being, as a flawed, damaged human being, but as a human being who has really not gone through the process of examining why he's doing what he's doing. And then it enables you to go through the, empathy, and then finally forgiveness and love, and you can release it. And that is a long, hard, ugly, oftentimes process.
Yeah.
But I think it's essential. In my view, it's essential. I went through, I've been through therapy,
Mhm.
and I've been through, like, listen, let's just dig back in your past, and let's, all these bad things that, people have done to you, and they've let you down, and they've abandoned you, and they've tortured you, and they've done all these things. It's fine to know all that, but unless I give myself agency to overcome all that, it's not effective for curing the depression, the anxiety, the anger, the fear. It just lingers. So I try to, that's part of that radical acceptance of, I'm responsible ultimately for my life going forward, even though, well, in my belief system, I'm also responsible for everything that happened in my past. But that is, that's maybe hard to accept for some people, and I understand that, but it gives me agency so that I can overcome and then create, okay, I'm going to use this responsibility. I'm going to take responsibility for it, because it was there, brought into my life, that I brought into my life, because I'm learning this lesson right now to take my life to the next step. And that kind of segues into the meaning of life in general for all of humanity. I believe that, and my book kind of lays it out, that humanity serves as a link between spirit and this material realm, the realm of energy, and the material realm. So we are basically that link that is evolving, kind of a pure connection between spirit and material. If you can imagine, as a thought experiment, your pure pre-material energy, your everything is ecstatic, it's dynamic, you've got all the high frequency energy that comes from spirit, all those good feelings, but you don't have the sun on your face, the feeling of a touch from somebody that you love. You don't have all these tactile material sensations that we experience in this material realm. I believe that humanity, over billions of years now, energy, spiritual energy, source energy, created matter, and has been slowly evolving to the point where it can form a pure link between spirit and matter. And humanity, because we are the first sentient beings that we know of, that can basically reflect on ourselves, we can project to the future. It's basically, we are the first instance of spirit being able to reflect on itself in this material realm. And it's a long, hard process to evolve this link, and we've got a long way to go. But I think ultimately we are step by step, incarnation by incarnation, charged with developing this link between energy and matter. And one day, that link, that link will be pure, so that there will be no difference between our spiritual mind and our biological mind. So every lifetime, I come into this lifetime with certain challenges, certain things that I'm supposed to face in order to continue my evolutionary process as part of, this evolution that all of humanity is going through. We're like a distributed computer network that spirit and source energy is using to try to accelerate the evolution of this link between spirit and matter, if that makes sense to you.
Mm-hmm.
So each of us is like a little part of that process. So the meaning of life, in my view, is that we are supposed to enter this life. We come into this life from our spirit with, in certain situations, with, we come in with social economic issues, or, in a certain culture and whatever. All of that's designed to give us challenges and opportunities in order to learn the lessons embedded within all those obstacles and conflicts and good things, in order to continue our contribution to this evolutionary process. So everybody's in that exact same situation. So if you view everybody that you encounter in your life as that, uh, as basically someone who has been placed in a situation where they're trying to learn these lessons, then it makes it almost impossible to look at them with anything but compassion, because they're in the same situation we are all in, no matter how good or bad they may be. They're trying to learn these lessons, and their spirit has them out front in this material realm trying to learn these lessons. Some of us don't learn these lessons in this lifetime. It carries on to the next. But anyway, so that's my crazy philosophy. But it's really served me well, because it gives me agency over my life and the process of healing, and it serves as a foundation for explaining, really, what most religions try to explain, but it explains it in a way that makes sense to me.
Mark, how was your mom when you were growing up after dealing with all of this? How was she?
Yeah, you might. She was a little bit of a tragic figure. Such a lovely woman, but so flawed in many ways. She gave me so much, and I don't want to disparage her, because one of the things that she did give me was she never put boundaries on me, and ultimately she never said, well, you can only do this, Mark, or this is what you're only good for that. She said, she always believed that myself and my brother, we could do anything we wanted to do in this life. I don't think she believed it for herself, but she believed it for us. And that was a gift, and that was an extreme gift. And I think that seed has always stayed with me, and enabled me to kind of overcome, and to grow where I've grown thus far. So so I'm eternally grateful. She had a tough childhood too, so these things run in cycles. And you mentioned breaking the cycle, and I think, listen, we are all here to break negative cycles. That's part of why we're here,
Yeah.
and to learn how to do that. And it's hard to do that. It's really hard to break negative cycles. And so I think she did her part. My brother's wonderful, well-adjusted man, and a great, was raised great family. I got to say, it took me longer to to get to that point, but eventually, I learned a lot of the big lessons that I was supposed to learn because of all the conflict in my life. And God bless her. She was amazing, amazing woman in her own way. But she, you know, she's, listen, I believe in reincarnation. I believe I'll see her again. I believe that, we'll have a chance to, and I believe I interact with her on a spiritual basis anyway. So, it's all good. It is all good.
So do you find yourself using music as a therapy for you? I see you're quite into music a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, I love music. I've always loved music. I've always been a music appreciator. A funny story, in my 30s, I guess, I really had not played any musical instrument, but a funny story, I had a dream that one night that I picked up a harmonica and I was playing like these amazing blues licks. I'm a big blues
I love
guy.
blues.
I
Yes.
love blues.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I woke up the next day and I'm like, that is so crazy. I've never played musical instrument, I never played harmonica, didn't own one. And so it just stuck with me, stuck with me. Next day, I was still thinking about it. It just wouldn't leave me. So I went to a music store. I went to the cabinet and there's probably 30 harmonicas sitting there. And I'm like, I don't know, dude.
No clue.
And so no clue. And so I just picked like this Honer blues harp in the key of C, and I took it home and I put on a Stevie Ray Vaughan album,
Nice choice.
and I started playing like I'd been playing my entire life.
What? Really?
Yes, I
Wow.
swear.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, and then I picked up the guitar, and then so now playing music is a big part of my life.
What do you like to play on the
It's
guitar?
you know what I play. I've got some guys, some friends that we play, we jam. I mean, it's nothing serious. I
Right.
mean, I'm not a professional musician.
But it's
It's
fun.
we play for fun. It makes me feel good. I rock. I love all music, from punk to blues to rock, to to folk, country, you name it. So
Do
we
you
play it
sing
all.
too?
I, I don't know if you call it that, but yeah, I'm the official singer, but
You gonna give us a little
it's
show of something? You gonna give us a
no,
little
no, I
what?
absolutely not.
Come on.
No, 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 no.
Overcome your fear.
Yeah, true, true. It's 8:30 in the morning, girl. I'm not doing it. No.
Coffee.
Another time when I'll prepare something when I see you again.
All
How's
right,
that?
I'm gonna hold you to that. Tell everybody where they can find you, Mark. How can everybody find you, and where is your book?
Yeah, my book's on Amazon, Curious Avatar, by Mark Max Pollock. You can go to my website, markmaxpollock.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I've got a Substack, where I post weekly newsletters. So I'd love it if people got on there and followed my Substack post. Is free. It's just under Mark Max Pollock. And yeah, and I appreciate anybody's feedback. Let me know what you think. Love talking with folks about this stuff.
Thank you so much. Will you come back so we can hear you sing sometime?
I would love to, Victoria. I'm not sure about the singing, but I'd love to
Well,
be back.
I had to try. Thank you so much, Mark, for being with us today. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you, darling. I appreciate you. And thank you for everything you're doing. You're an inspiration. Thank you so
Aw,
much.
thank you. That just made my day. Thank you.